So I love feeding the birds, but I don't like feeding the squirrels that climb up this pole and eat off of the feeder. The spikes aren't working, and I saw something online where you make this little guy spin and it ejects all of the squirrels from eating that. I'm gonna have to come up with a solution, and the solution is gonna involve welding. So any excuse to weld is a good excuse. May have been too optimistic on the spike situation I have going on. Looks like a torture device. I'm gonna take this off and start figuring out how to mount the bird feeder on this with a bearing. I got all that stuff off. See the old design that I had, which is pretty much I drilled a bunch of screws into here and then I cut the ends off to try to make it undesirable for raccoons and rats and anything to climb up here to get onto the bird feeder. But that didn't work, and the spikes weren't working either. I screwed those on there, so hence the reason why we need to just completely spin them off. I found my donor skateboard, so we're going to be using one of these bearings. And my theory is I can take like a bolt or something, get this to mount on there, and have this spin. So I'll be probably putting a bolt into the bar, and then this will just spin around when a squirrel gets on it. But this needs to be stiff. I can't have this thing moving around back and forth. It needs to be nice and stiff so that twist happens, because if it just does this, then he's not going to spin off of the feeder. So I have to sit around and figure out how I'm going to connect this to use that bearing. Since we already have a mounting point inside the wheel, I'll try to use the wheel somehow. Maybe put like a bracket or something. Again, opportunity to weld. And we have a little visitor in the shop. He is playing dead right now. Yeah, there he is. He was playing dead for a little bit, but I know he's alive because he was moving just a second ago. Let's put you back outside, buddy. So I think I got the setup I want. I'm going to be using the bearing, this bolt, and then I'm going to weld this to the bar right there. So then I'll be able to bolt this on with this, even with the thread locker. So I'll be able to take this completely off if I need to refill the feeder. So this piece with this feeder needs to grab onto that. So my thought is I'm going to get a hole through this, through the center, through that, and then be able to bolt that up. And I think that's going to work pretty good. And then I'll put some screws in this to make sure this is nice and stable. This will be able to spin like I want it, and it'll stay in place. The fun part is this is like a cast piece. So I don't know if this will get messed up if I start drilling into it with a bunch of taps. But here we go. Got my hole drilled, and I think this might work. Bolt goes through. This bearing gets on there. We bolt this up. And then I can put this on the bird feeder. And if this is held in place, oh no, something doesn't, oh, because of that, the hook right there. So I need to figure out how to remedy that, because this is not going to fly. Also, this hook is going to be in the way. Or no, that can be just on top of the, yeah, that can still slide over that. No, that's not going to work. All right, back to the drawing board. So while I was messing around with this thing to get this bar out of the way, I found out how it comes apart. There's no glue or anything like that. which is very awesome. So you can clean it all off. It's still a little bit dirty. But what I found out is the bottom portion goes into here like this. And then these guys lock into that on either side. And that holds the bottom piece into place. And then you run this rod into the center so those pieces cannot come out. Got it. All right. So then the side pieces don't come out and the bottom piece doesn't come out. That's pretty cool. But I know now that this is very critical. This has to stay in here to keep all of the perches on there. So, but at least now I can mess with it a little bit more and find out how to make that bearing work. While I was messing around with this, I came out with another fundamental issue, and that is I've got my hole in there to put the bearing, but I can't hold the whole feeder by this because it's just going to be sliding off. So I need to make it so I can clamp this on here, but it still needs to be serviceable. I still need to open this up and be able to put some birdseed in there. I'm trying to figure out if I need, this is going to need to be bolted on here, but then I'm going to need to affix this wheel to our mounting bar so this thing will be seen by the birds. Kind of a little bit of a head scratcher here, but I think fundamentally I'm still on the right path. I need stability, I need it nice and strong, and I think using this wheel somehow, because it will mount my bearing and stuff, that's just making it much easier. I'll just keep reconfiguring it like a puzzle piece and see what works. Messing around, trying to figure out how to get this thing to stay on there. I had to take the old bar off of there because at least I could hit the reset button if all of this stuff didn't work. But I'm just using a coat hanger to try to bend this around, make it serviceable, keep it on there, and still clamp this on there. Just kind of bending it around and trying to figure out what might hold this thing. But again, still need this thing to open up so I can put some birdseed in it. So I think I'm pretty close. I just have to bend that in there. But you can see that this is out of the way now. So then now the bolt and all that stuff can be on there. And then this will just spin around. See if I can get it to work. It works in my mind, just not in reality just yet. The aha moment is gonna come, and I think this might be workable. I'm gonna need to have to use a tool to open this up every time to fill it up, but that's a trade-off I'm willing to take. But I found a bolt that's got a little bit of a concave on it, so it's gonna fit probably around the pin, the manufacturing pin, so it won't hit. And then it's just a matter of getting this to be mounted to my bar. We'll find out. That bolt was going to be worthless. I need a lot of space for this bearing. So now I'm just going to be bolting this up. This will stick out, and then the wheel will go on top. This will be nice and stiff because I'm physically bolting it up. And the screwdriver that nobody uses, this big, huge, massive thing, fits perfectly on this thread. So I'm going to tighten this up. Nice and stiff. It's not dead center, but that's okay. Still gonna spin. Look at that, nice and solid. Even got my little new clip on there. It's coming together. Things are coming together very swimmingly. So this is bolted on, super stiff. A little bit of movement and stuff, but that's no big deal. Put my wheel on there. This nut that's gonna be removable. Tighten that up. I can even do that by hand because it's got the thread locker. And then the squirrel will get ejected off the side if he tries to climb on this. With this weight on the outside, he's just gonna flip off the thing. Just like the video I saw online. And this rolls really smoothly and stuff, so I'm excited that this is actually gonna work. But now I have to mount this wheel onto my bar still, which won't be that big of a deal. Got most of the mechanism down, so
Helicopter, helicopter.
So I'm going to give this thing a kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm going to be using the wheel. These are going to be my tabs that go on there, and they even have like a little holder. These are going to go on either side. I'm going to put some screws between this, and that should be able to hold it. I'm going to weld 2 tabs right here, and then just run some screws into the already pre-made holes. Give it a kiss. Self-tapping screws into the urethane, and I think we're good to go. Now it's time for the fun part. It's time to start welding. And I think I'm going to have enough clearance for the bolt when it goes on there. Yep, looks like there's going to be enough clearance. So when this is on the bar, good to go. Very nice. Using the crap I got around the house. That's all I need. So I don't have my grind off wheel, so we have to use a cut off wheel to clean this off where we're going to weld it. Not the greatest situation, but you know, it is what it is. And a very tiny amount of air we have going on. But we just need 2 little spots to tack it pretty much to keep it flat. So not a lot of welding needed, but it's something. Only after taking my safety equipment off did I realize that I didn't have all my safety equipment on. I had those rubber gloves on, so that sort of felt like these. But I didn't get burned, so that's perfectly fine. We'll just have to wear those next time. Put those back in their holding place. And the moment of truth is what I'm talking about. So fitting this on here. Swing it around the other way. Swing it on there, and then bolt it up. Where's that perfect bolt? Right there. Put that on there, and then that's removable. And there we go. Looks really cheesy, but hey, listen, I'm at home doing this, so we're good. Time to test this thing in the beautiful California weather today. It's raining, but I think the general idea of what I wanted to do is set. I also had a little bit of an added feature. This thing can rock back and forth, but those screws won't come out because that's a urethane wheel. So I think it's gonna deter some squirrels. We'll see. I'll be getting the video of my creation not working when the wife sees the squirrels on this during the day. We'll see.